Okay, so the April ScrawlrBox finally arrived. It came last night and I have been so excited to open it since. It's been a challenge not opening it until now. I'm dying to get some new art supplies to play with and try out, so let's open this up and see what's inside. Kia ora everyone, this is Hey Johanna. Welcome to this April ScrawlrBox unboxing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope that you enjoy this video. Okay, let's get this thing open. I don't know about you guys, but my ScrawlrBoxes always arrive a little bit beaten up, and I'm just always a little bit nervous that the supplies inside are going to be broken or something. But no, they look okay. Okay, so first things first, we've got the artist print under here. Oh wow, that's really pretty. So the featured artist for this month is Angelika Schult. Angelika is an illustrator and designer based in Germany. She got very passionate about art at a young age and started to focus on drawing at 14. In the last 2 years, her love for traditional media has resurfaced, and she now experiments with a variety of materials like watercolor, pencils, and gouache to create her pieces. So I'm imagining that there's probably going to be some watercolor in here or something. I can definitely see some pencils, so probably some watercolor pencils. So that's really that's really funny actually, because I've just been getting back into watercolors again, and especially things like inks as well. So this is perfect for me right now. If you want to go and check out more of Angelika Schult's work, I will link all of these sort of Instagram, Twitter, Etsy, all of those things down in my description down below. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so we've got the menu, and this basically explains everything that's in the box in detail. It explains all of the materials and how much they cost and everything like that, and it gives you usually a wee challenge with a prompt word, and so that's always important to have a look at. But I'm going to go through the materials first before I look at this. So we have these two Faber Castell watercolor markers in the color phthalo blue and cadmium yellow. We have 3 Faber Castell watercolor pencils in the colors deep Scarlet Red, Emerald Green, and Walnut Brown. They're really thick pencils, like compared to a normal pencil, they're just like quite chunky, but I quite like that. And then we just have a normal Derwent sketching pencil, HB. Just a nice white nylon brush in the size 6. Here's the candy, banana split eclair. Gross. I nearly just scrunched up the sticker. So then the ScrawlrBox sticker, there's always a sticker that comes with these ScrawlrBoxes, and as you can see, it's kind of got the print on there as well, so that's really nice and pretty. And then a Scrawler zine, random. They've never included one of those before, so that's quite interesting. And then finally, some A5 watercolor paper, 300 GSM cold pressed 8 sheets. So that's actually really nice that they've included that, because it's like a decent amount of paper. You can do a decent amount of testing. It's just always nice to have a little bit extra watercolor paper lying around. So that's really cool. Okay, so I'm really pleased with this box so far. My immediate impression is that I've got quite a few good quality art materials here to work with. I've also got a decent amount of paper. I've basically got everything I need, so I am really happy. I have also been wanting to work with watercolor more recently, and I've been curious about these watercolor markers for a while, so well done ScrawlrBox. So what I'm going to do now is go through all the materials in a little more depth. I'm going to swatch them out, do a couple of tests and everything, and then I will do a final piece with all of the art supplies here. So if you want to see just the final drawing process and what I create with these supplies, you can skip forward to here in the video. I will also leave a timestamp in the description box down below. So I think the thing that I'm most curious about in this entire box is the Scrawler zine. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and yes, it's true, I've only had a couple of ScrawlrBoxes so far, but I have never seen a Scrawler zine in here before. The Scrawler zine that is included for the first time in the April box is actually really great. I think it's a fantastic idea to have a little more information about the box, the tools, the company, the artist, and this was just a great way to put all of that information in. The first 2 pages are mostly dedicated to the supplies in the box. It shows the items in a little more detail than just the menu alone does. The next spread is all about the featured artist of the month. There's a couple more artworks shared and a few questions and answers about things like what inspires you, what's your favourite medium to work with, etc. You just get a bit more information about the artist and it feels more personal. The next 2 pages have tips for the products in the box and how to use them from both the artist and the team at ScrawlrBox. This is what I think is the best part of this zine, because you may have never used or even heard of the supplies in the box. It just gives you a chance to understand how to use them a little bit, and especially how the featured artists use them to create their artwork. The next spread shares a couple of photos from the previous month's challenge that users have posted to social media. It links their handles so that you can find them yourself as well. I think this is a really wonderful way to bring the community together. And the final 2 pages are updates from ScrawlrBox. In this one, they explain about their new partnership with Trees for the Future and what that organisation does. This gave me a really good understanding of what the 2 organisations are doing together and how they are working towards a more sustainable future. It was just really great to read about a little bit more, and I'm so happy that they included this zine in the box. I hope they do it for all of the rest of the boxes from now on. Okay, so it's time to do some swatching. I'm just going to do it on the first page here. I have 8 pages in total, which is awesome. This is why it's great that they've given us more than just 1 or 2 pieces of paper, because I do think that paper can significantly change a medium. Being able to test out the products on the paper you'll be using is really, really important and really, really valuable as well. Okay, so first we have the Derwent sketching pencil. This pencil retails at £169 and is an HB pencil. That means that the graphite is hard and light in shade, which makes it really good for sketching and erasing. It's a round barrel pencil, which is comfortable to hold. The graphite is really, really hard. I tested it using a crumble test, which is where I sharpen it as much as I can and then press it onto the paper really, really hard to see how much it crumbles and whether the lead breaks when stressed. Only the very tip crumbled and there were no lead breakages, which indicates to me that it's a really strong and firm lead. The graphite sharpened really well, but the wood was weird and a little bit splintery, even though the pencil sharpener was new and sharp. The lead is definitely a little thicker than your standard HB pencil, but I liked it. Overall, it's a good sketching pencil. Next we had the Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolour pencils. These retail at £2.95 each, which is kind of expensive in my opinion. The leads are super thick and are designed to be able to cover large areas quickly. They are definitely chunkier than your normal pencil, but I kind of love it. It's very satisfying, they feel good in your hand. The red one splintered and broke during the crumble test, but it must have been a fluke because after sharpening it again, the pencil was strong and the coloured lead was hard and didn't crumble much. I also had no further problems with breakages. The pencils sharpen really well, the wood is smooth and the lead can be sharpened to a fine point. These pencils are not as creamy as I thought they would be. As I said, the lead is firm, so the application needs some pressure, especially when used on textured paper like this one. They work really, really well on smooth papers, however. These pencils are pigmented as fuck. The red one, however, was way more so than the green and the brown. They are really easy to activate, fun to use, and once the paint is dry, they don't reactivate again, which is awesome. If you lay down colour from the pencil onto a wet area, you can get an interesting result. However, it is very difficult to activate the pencil lead when it's been applied over a wet area. The flick technique works really well, and there's little to no colouring line when you activate a section of pigment with water. Really nice pencils, I like them, they even smell good. Okay, so next we have the absolute stars of the show, the Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolour markers. These markers retail at £4.95 each, which is quite expensive for a marker, but basically you've already got your money's worth with just the markers and the watercolour pencils. The markers are dual-sided with a brush nib on one end and a bullet nib on the other. The caps can go on either end of the marker, so you don't have to worry about accidentally squashing your brush nib or something. The caps can also be placed on the back of the pens when not in use, but it's not hella secure. The ink is quite messy, so be careful. I got it all over my hands, but it washes off really, really easily. Both nibs feel like really good quality tips. The brush is firm but flexible, it's actually really nice, and the bullet is just a nice standard firm bullet. The ink application is really nice, the markers are juicy, the ink goes down pretty smooth, especially for a water-based ink. They are super, super vibrant, really beautifully pigmented. I have nothing but praise for this ink. The ink is really, really easy to activate, it picks up well, generally it leaves no pen streaks or stains on the paper that can't be picked up with water unless you leave the ink to dry for too long before activating. Drawing the markers onto a wet area can create a cool effect, but it's a little difficult to control. I find the best way to work with these markers is by working fast, putting down the ink and then activating it with water, or, my favourite way, using a ceramic dish or plate, scribbling the colour down, adding a touch of water and mixing it that way before applying it to the paper. This way you can control the intensity by adding more or less water, and you can mix colours more easily. The pens work well with coloured pencils, they blend nicely together, and I'm just overall really impressed with this tool. Great ink, great performance, just really, really cool. Finally, we have the brush and the paper. The ProArte Polar Series 31 round brush in size 6 is a nylon brush with white bristles. It retails for £3.75 and is designed for use with watercolour and other water-based pigments. Usually I hate white brushes, but that is purely because there's no way to keep them white, so that really has nothing to do with the quality of the brush and more to do with my insane need for everything to be perfect. Now, I'm no brush expert, but the build quality of this brush seems to be better than almost every single other brush I own, so that was good. It works really well, it holds the water and paint nicely, it applies the paint smoothly, it's really soft and has a subtle taper with a fine tip. You can use this brush wet directly onto the markers to pick up the pigment, but it's not very efficient. I just wouldn't do that if I were you. As for the paper, it's a little bit too textured for the pencils I found, but for a 300 GSM cold pressed cellulose paper, it's no more textured than normal. It works well with the markers, it's not cotton paper obviously, and it does warp a little with the water, but nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. As someone who absolutely drenches a page in water when working with watercolour, I think it held up quite well. I think it could be interesting to do an illustration on hot pressed super smooth watercolour paper as well to see how the coloured pencils act, as I had a difficult time laying down a flat, consistent colour on this quite textured paper. The paper is valued at £2.99, so altogether all of the supplies in this box add up to £27.18. So this box is really, really good value. Okay, so it's the next day now. I've had a little sleep and I've been able to think about it and think over, what I'm going to do and get over my initial fear of the watercolour, and I think I'm just going to dive right in with the final piece. I'm doing it on the same watercolour paper, obviously, that was provided. The whole point of this is to have fun, so that's what I'm going to do. If it turns out great, great. If it turns out bad, that's fine too. So let's begin. I'm just trying to go in with some really, really light construction lines at the moment because I do want to almost entirely erase this before I start using the watercolour. I'm really not used to using a pencil like this. I almost always use a mechanical pencil, and the lead of this pencil is quite thick as well, so I'm sort of struggling a little bit. I'm so tempted to switch over to my mechanical pencil, but nope, I have to stick with this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I draw eyes today? It's just adjustment after adjustment after adjustment. That's what drawing a face is. You have to change everything just so subtly. Sometimes the line will just be slightly to the left or slightly too high, and once you change it, it's like, oh yeah, that's way better. That's quite inconvenient really, because it means that you can sit there drawing eye after eye after eye after eye, and it just doesn't quite work out. Definitely got to get that fringe in there. Love a good fringe. I was going to draw sort of realistic flowers down here and have them kind of normal and natural and hyper detailed and everything like I usually do, but I think I'm just going to do these kind of like really basic, really cutesy, flowery, like how a 6-year-old would draw flowers. I can feel myself procrastinating, like a sketch does not usually take me this long, but I know that I'm just trying to make it perfect so that I don't have to do the painting. But you need to get a grip, Holly. It's just a new art supply, it can't hurt you. And even if it turns out bad. I've literally got like a mantra that I'm just repeating to myself. Even if it turns out bad, it's alright, because it's all part of the learning process. But it won't turn out bad, it'll be fine. Piece of feather. Piece of feather. Okay, so I think it's time to start painting. I can't really put it off any longer, can I? I realize this is not exactly the way that you're supposed to use these, but you know what? Just give me a break, okay? I'm working it out for myself. I can do what I want with the supplies that I have, so yeah, this is the way that I've found that works best for me. At least I hope it does. Okay, wish me luck. I'm probably not going to be talking a lot through this process because I'm concentrating really, really hard on not messing up and trying to get the supplies to work with me. I mean, so far so good, to be honest. I'm actually kind of enjoying this process, but if I'm not talking much and it's just all time-lapse, I'm really sorry about that. It's just that I am concentrating so hard. I don't even really know why I'm nervous. This should be fun, but I don't know. It's been so long since I've tried something genuinely new, and this is, you know, genuinely new for me, so it is actually challenging me quite a bit. Now I feel like I'm not as good an artist as I thought I was, so I think that's what's really challenging me here. I'm like conflicted. Oh my god, this is so not my medium. I'm starting to think it was a little bit of a mistake to go around with that brown pencil because it seems to not be lifting as much as I thought it would. I thought it would kind of just eventually fade into the color, but at a point it kind of stops being activated, and now I've just got this weird hard brown line, especially around this neck area. So I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. That's a problem for future Holly. Get a bit of red in there, blush the cheeks. I liked these flowers to begin with, and now I hate them. Oh no. Okay, I think I need a break. Okay, so not gonna lie, this is all I was gonna do for this little offset section here, and I don't think it's looking that good. Like, I just think it looks a little bit weird and confused. The glitch look hasn't properly worked. It just looks wrong, so I'm not too happy with that at the moment, and it makes me a little bit nervous because that's the part that I was the most confident about, and now I'm like, oh damn. Okay, so I ruined the flowers. Alright, so while this isn't bad for a first attempt, I do actually think that I can do better than this. I think now that I've warmed up to the supplies and I understand a bit more how to use them and what effects I can get, I should be able to create something that I'm really happy with. So I've decided I'm going to do another one. It's going to be the same portrait again, but changed a little bit, and I've also changed the paper. For this one, I'm going to be using the Arches hot pressed cotton paper just to test out how the supplies would work on the paper that I would normally use for a wet medium. So let's get into it. So these are the two finished paintings that I created using this month's ScrawlrBox. If I'm being honest, I'm not actually that happy with them. I feel like neither of them are particularly strong pieces, and just generally I'm a little bit disappointed in myself. But on the other hand, I am really pleased with all the supplies in this box. I thoroughly enjoyed these amazing pencils. It was really interesting to try these beautiful markers, and this experience has awoken a desire in me to do more watercolor work from now on. Personally, I can't wait to go out and get a few more of these. Okay, so my least favorite item in this box, excluding the paper, would have to be this Derwent pencil. I don't really like the thickness of the lead. I don't really like how the wood is kind of splintery when you sharpen it. It's not that it's not a good pencil. The lead is really hard and it didn't show any signs of breaking or crumbling, but I just don't really like pencils like this, you know? I would say that my least favorite supply was the paper, but I kind of just don't really count that. It's ScrawlrBox's own paper, so it's not likely you'll be able to buy it from anywhere anyway. My favorite supply in this box is probably the watercolor markers. I think that they're really cool. They're beautiful, they're super pigmented. I'm just super impressed with them. I can't say for sure whether I'll be rushing out to buy a bunch more because honestly I can't really see myself using them all that much. But you know, that's not to say that I don't think they're awesome. If you ask me which supply I'd want a 48 pack of, I'd choose the pencils, and I'm definitely going to go and buy more of these in the future. But these markers are just sick. They're really fun. I 100% recommend going and buying a couple or getting the ScrawlrBox for instance, because you know, it's just a really interesting experience trying something new. So that's it for this video. I will list all the supplies in the description box down below in case you want to go and check them out. Thank you very much for watching. Kia ora everyone, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you very soon. Bye!